guys, so the exhaust is completely finished. I got the car back on the ground. We're pretty much ready to roll. Still, the only thing I have to do is get that gas pedal mounted. I actually ended up ordering a bracket from Hawks because I thought it was going to kind of be a simple deal. I could just screw this thing into the firewall. But because of the offset of the pedals and the like the brake pedal and the clutch bracket, it actually sits further away from the firewall than I thought. So I'd have to actually make kind of like a bracket that'll kind of sit away from the firewall and then mount it to that. So once that comes in, I'm just going to slap the gas pedal on the firewall, and that's it. We're going to take it out for a drive. I tucked all of the wiring as good as I could. I have the Holly just kind of sitting up in there for now. I didn't mount it yet just in case I have to pull it down, but all the wires are hidden. I actually extended the controller connector. So I cut the end off of this and I soldered some wires in because this little piece that the screen and the laptop plugs into, it was only like that long and it was coming out of the main harness, so I wouldn't be able to actually access that if I want to run the screen or if I want to put the laptop plugged into that connector. So I just extended that. I have it kind of hanging out like this. I'm going to leave it that way, just screw this in when I'm ready. And yeah, we're pretty much good to go in here. I got to give it a little vacuum. Obviously the car is filthy, needs to get washed. But for the final setup on the exhaust, I pulled the wiring in. I gave it a coat of silver VHT, like 2000 degree paint. And you can see the ground clearance is actually pretty damn good. Actually, even in the middle there, my old setup, you can see where the merge is. I used to have it like up here, and that was kind of the lowest point. I mean, aside from that collector there. But that is definitely up a little higher because it doesn't come just straight down like that anymore. You can see I have it curving up. Coming around the back, what I actually ended up doing for the hangers, and you can kind of see what I mean back here, that V-band, that's maybe like a sideways soda can's width between that V-band and the ground. But for the hangers, I just took two pieces of rubber from a little universal exhaust hanger, and I put one on each side, used the factory mount here, just like a 13mm head of bolt screwed into that. That is very secure. I actually don't even have a mount down there anymore. I completely did away with that. Being I have the V-band, it actually holds onto this pipe a lot more, and this hanger is plenty to keep that up. And then I did the same thing on this side. It's a little kind of offset because it didn't line up perfectly and I didn't want to extend the bracket, but it is secured. It's very, very tight. And I think this setup is actually going to be really good. You can see just how much clearance we have. And it's tucked up there pretty good. It was definitely lower before, even back here by the V-band, because I had that like huge flex joint on there. That V-band actually looks like it's sitting higher than the old setup. So I think we're going to be good there. All right, guys, so I got the gas pedal rigged up. It's going to be at least like 3 or 4 days until the bracket comes from Hawks. I think it's just shipping today. I'm really eager to drive this thing, so I just rigged up the pedal the best way I can. I put just a bolt with a lock washer and a nut right through the bottom of the bracket there to stabilize it against the firewall. And then I have the factory 3rd gen bracket nut, it's like a 10mm right there behind the connector. I secured the top on that stud, and this is pretty sturdy this way. I wouldn't leave it this way just because the angle is kind of weird. The pedal should be up a little more, but it is good enough for me at least driving around the neighborhood, get the ring seated. And for the wire, I just kind of ran it over, plugged it in that way. I have to actually pull the console and kind of run it behind there, which I don't feel like doing right now. So this is gonna work for now. All right, guys, I am sorry for the terrible angle. I don't have my GoPro mount. I got you literally wedged in the gauge cluster. I can't see fuel. I can't see coolant temperature, but I can see my oil pressure. So let's just take it out, go for a quick spin around the neighborhood, bring it back. Yeah, and we'll make sure there's no leaks. Everything's good to go. Coffee. that's good. Brake off, clutch in, neutral, fuel pump. I'm noticing there's like a little bit of a belt chirp. I think I should have put a new serpentine belt on it because it got some coolant on it when I pulled it off, but hopefully it goes away. I heard the muffler hit the exhaust. I mean the exhaust pipe hit the axle, so I am going to have to bring that hanger up on the passenger side. Oil pressure's good. We are way up there. I'm getting some smoke out the passenger side. I don't know if that's exhaust. Let me head back. Oil pressure is still good. It smells like coolant. Just trying to do a little rip just to get the rings to be happy. Alright, well, other than that, we were doing pretty good. I don't know what's going on there. They're tight too. I guess it's just not tight enough. Alright, I gotta get it warm again, see if that stopped. Now I'm just gonna let it get a little warm, make sure we're all right. Right away, I'll tell you, there's so much more low end, even just not in boost, just tapping throttle. I mean, it could be just because I went to a drive-by-wire. I'm not used to the sensitivity. I'm used to the kind of drag of the pedal, but I mean, just the slightest bit of throttle, you feel way more torque than I did with the 5.3. It's also loud as shit. I don't know if I mentioned that. Might swap that muffler out. Oh my god, so much more torque. Remember now, the car is pretty much untuned, at least untuned by a person, and it's running like it's completely tuned. I could probably do a wide open hit, but I'm not going to. But that's how well it's running. It feels like if I did, it would just go. It wouldn't even fall on its face or stumble or do anything weird. Ride in second gear all the way down this hill. Alright guys, we made it. Vitals look good. Oil pressure is still good. I love the idle. The idle sounds just perfect. there. I gotta see what I can find. No leaks, so far we're good. The Holly is in closed loop learn mode. All right, guys, we're back home safe. A few things I need to check out for sure. One thing, it was running really hot. When I got back here, it was sitting at like 212. Highest I got was up to 218. Checked the coolant, thought maybe it was just an air thing, or maybe it just lost a little when the heater hose was leaking, but the coolant level was fine. And then what I figured it was, and it turned out being, because I had it happen before, one of the fans, the fan on the passenger side isn't on. I tried wiggling some wires, nothing happened. I got to look at the relays. They're tucked under the bumper, so I'm going to get on the quick jacks when I address the other stuff and check out that relay. So the overheating will be an easy fix. No leaks, everything looks good. Well, I still got to crawl into the car, you know, do a thorough check, but I didn't see any spots when I parked it. Exhaust, it's going to need some tweaking. For one thing, I hear it banging in the back. Going over bumps, it's hitting the axle. So if I change that muffler, well, that's another thing. I want to possibly change that muffler. Once I tweak it and get everything so it's not rubbing, it might actually be, you know, not as loud in the car. I think that's where most of it's coming through. It's vibrating like through the chassis, which brings me to the other thing. Somewhere in the transmission tunnel here, I feel like vibration pretty loud. So I don't know if the exhaust is rubbing on the torque arm, or maybe it's just because I have the new torque arm that's mounting directly to the body now. Not sure, but sitting at idle, I definitely feel like the exhaust is rubbing somewhere over there. So I got to address that. Other than that, only other thing I'm going to do is when I have it on the quick jacks, I'm going to move it over here, change the oil, probably get another filter just to get all that grease and assembly lube and crap out, any little kind of shavings that may have came off during the initial, you know, drive. Everything's still like brand new in there, getting to know each other. I want to do a change on that oil. I have somewhere like 7 quarts of break-in left, so I'm going to swap that out. Continue to drive it, but I got to say, it's driving absolutely perfectly. Even with the cam I went with and everything, it's self-learning as I go, so the system it's going to keep running better and better, basically. And I have 2 logs. I didn't look at them yet, but I am data logging, and it just feels so good already. There's plenty of torque down low. Obviously, I haven't hit any boost yet, but so far, just on the 6.0, doing its own thing, NA, it feels way, way more torqueier down low than the 5.3. And I couldn't be happier with the idle and how it's running right now, because we haven't touched it with a laptop yet. The thing is pretty much daily drivable the way it is. So I think that is going to do it for this one. Camaro's up and running. Oil pressure looked great. Once I get these little things figured out, we'll pretty much be there. I do have some stuff going in the interior. They're on their way. Pretty big thing getting changed in there. You might have an idea of what it's going to be. What am I doing? But yeah, I got 2 things going in the interior. I got to clean it up, vacuum it, tuck the computer, find a place to mount the little pad. And I think that is going to be it for inside the car. But stay tuned. We still have a lot of stuff coming for this thing. And I also am going to have some Tahoe videos coming back in, because now that this is up and running, I can kind of afford to do some stuff to that. And for one thing, I got shocks, I got headlights I want to do, like bulbs and stuff, as well as the front diff. It needs to be rebuilt. So any of you GM truck guys, I got a lot of stuff coming for that, especially the front diff. That thing's been whining for so long. I've been putting it off. I'm kind of afraid to see what I'm going to find in there, but I already have the parts for it. And yeah, Tahoe's coming back. Once that is good to go, once again, I'm saying it, but I promise it's going to happen. Trans Am's going to be back on this side, and we're going to be pulling those T-tops apart and really diving into that, because I want that interior done before it starts getting really nice out. But once again, that's going to do it for this one, guys. So glad I brought you along for this. Camaro's up and running. Blah, blah, blah. Everything I already said. See you in the next one.